Welcome back, everyone. It's been a while, but we are back. I am really excited to start creating Oracle DBA content again. Now, let me ask you something. Imagine you are the DBA on duty. A developer calls you and says, I can't access my table. A few minutes later, another person says, the database is slow. And when someone else asks, who is currently connected to the database? As a DBA, where do you go to get these answers? You don't just guess. You don't restart the database and hope for the best. You investigate. And two of the most important resources you will use are the data dictionary and dynamic performance view, also known as views. Think about it this way. One helps you understand who exists inside the database. The other helps you understand what is happening inside the database right now. And by the end of this lesson, you will know exactly which one to reach for when you are troubleshooting a real Oracle database. So let's get into it. Let's start with the data dictionary. If Oracle were a massive library, the data dictionary would be the catalog that tells you everything about the library. It doesn't contain the book themselves. Instead, it tells you what book exists, who owns them, where they are located, who is allowed to access them, and how they are organized. Oracle works in a very similar way. The data dictionary contains metadata about the database. For example, what table exists, who owns those tables, what column do they contain, what indexes exist, what privileges have been granted, what table space are available, what data files exist, and much more. Here's something important. The data dictionary is created and maintained by Oracle itself. It is fundamentally associated with SYS schema, and Oracle relies heavily on this information to manage the database. So when you create a table, Oracle doesn't just create the table and walk away. It also records information about the table in the data dictionary. That's how Oracle knows what you have created. So what exactly are we going to find inside the data dictionary? Quite a lot. It contains information about users. It contains information about tables and columns. It keeps information about indexes and constraints. We also have information about views, privileges, table space, and database objects. So when Oracle needs information about an object in the database, it can retrieve that information from the data dictionary. This is why the data dictionary is so important. It gives Oracle and the DBA information about the object and structure that makes up the database. Now, Oracle gives us different ways to access this information. And this is where views such as user underscore, all underscore, DBA underscore, and CDB underscore comes in. First, we have the user underscore view. This shows us objects owned by the current user. Then we have all underscore view, which shows objects that the user has access to. Next are the DBA underscore view. These require administrative privileges and provide information across the database. And finally, when we are working with an Oracle multi-tenant environment, we have CDB underscore view, which allows us to work with information across the containers. So the important thing to remember here is that these different prefixes helps determine the scope of the information we are looking at. Now let's look at some data dictionary views you are going to come across quite often. For tables, we have DB underscore tables. For users, we have DB underscore users. For database objects, we have DB underscore objects. If you are interested in data files, we have DB underscore data files. For table space information, we have DB underscore table spaces. And we also have views like user underscore tables and all objects. These are some of the views that become very useful when you are working with and administering an Oracle database. And as you gain more experience as a DBA, you will naturally become more comfortable with these views and what information each one provides. Now let's move to the second major concept in this lesson, dynamic performance view. There is one major difference between this and the data dictionary. While the data dictionary gives us information about the database, dynamic performance views give us real-time information about the running Oracle instance. These views provide information about the current state of the database. We are talking about things like memory, session, processes, and database performance. And because this information reflects what is happening in the running instance, these views are extremely useful when we are monitoring a database or troubleshooting a problem. So if the data dictionary helps us understand the database, the view helps us understand what the database is doing right now. Oracle provides hundreds of dynamic performance views, so we are definitely not going to cover all of them in this lesson. but there are some important ones that every Oracle DBA should know. We have $V database, we have $V instance, we have $V session, which is very useful when we are looking at user sessions. We have $V process. We also have $V SGA for information related to the SGA. Then we have $V system event. For SQL information, we have $V SQL. And when we are investigating logs, we have $V logs. These views give the DBA visibility into what is happening inside the running Oracle environment. Now, this is probably the most important comparison in the entire lesson. What is the difference between the data dictionary and dynamic performance view? Here, the easiest way to remember it, the data dictionary gives us metadata, dynamic performance view gives us runtime information. The data dictionary is mostly static information about the database. Dynamic performance views are continuously updated as the database is running. The data dictionary information is stored on disks, while dynamic performance views are derived from memory, and their purposes are also different. The data dictionary focuses on object information. Dynamic performance views focus on performance and operational information. So remember this simple idea. Data dictionary, what does the database contain? Dynamic performance view, what is the database doing right now? Now let's bring this into the real world. Because as a DBA, we are not learning these views just to memorize their name. We actually use them. We can use them to monitor sessions. We can use them to identify blocking logs. We can check table space usage. We can find invalid objects. We can monitor SQL performance. And we can analyze memory usage. So when you are working as an Oracle DBA and something isn't quite right with the database, these are some of the resources you turn to for information. The more comfortable you become with the data dictionary and dynamic performance view, the easier it becomes to understand what is happening inside your Oracle environment. And this brings us to the end of this lesson. Let's quickly recap what we have covered. The data dictionary stores metadata about the Oracle database. Dynamic performance view performs live runtime information about the running database instance. And as an Oracle DBA, you need to understand both. The data dictionary helps you understand what the database contains. The dynamic performance view helps you understand what's happening inside the runtime database. And together, they support some of the most important DBA activities: administration, monitoring, and troubleshooting. So if you are learning Oracle DBA, make sure these two concepts become part of your foundation. And once again, welcome back to the channel. If you found this lesson useful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. And let me know in the comments what Oracle DBA topics you would like me to cover next. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson.